like the idea that a voice can just go somewhere
uninvited, like a dirty thought in a nice clean mind.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Liberal Lens. I'm Jay. Let's talk about how Trump is doing more to help the Democrats take this House in the midterms than the Democrats are. All right, so we're a year away from the midterm elections, and Donald Trump is doing more to help the Democratic Party than the Democrats are. And one of the problems the Democratic Party has is messaging. They're really horrible about getting their message out. Even if they are standing on the right things, they have a hard time getting the message out to the American people. And it's been a problem for the Democratic Party for years now. They are horrible at messaging, and they let the Republicans control the messaging that goes out there a lot of times. And it's a lot to do with there is a ton of conservative voices on YouTube and Spotify and Rumble. And Fox News is pretty much state-ran propaganda news that always defends Republicans and will carry Trump's water no matter what he says. Trump will say wild shit, and Fox News just doubles down on the lies and the wild shit. Like when Trump said that terrorists brought in $18 trillion to a country whose GDP is a hair over $30 trillion, so the math ain't mathin'. And then we go through and you find out it's hundreds of billions of dollars, which is still a lot of money, but that's all from a tax on the American people. And Americans aren't stupid. They knew we footed the bill for that. But yet Trump is out here talking about Democratic hoax when it comes to affordability, how he has an A++++ rating on his presidency. No, I don't know how many pluses he put behind that, but he literally sounded like a kindergartner telling you how great they were in school. So Trump does this. He doubles down on the 18 trillion again. Every time he gets a chance, he talks about this phantom 18 trillion that never exists. Because again, the math ain't mathin' with a country whose GDP is a little over 30 trillion. And like I said, he made a few $100 million off of the tariffs. But again, we all know that's a tax on the American people, so that doesn't help. And then he's sitting there talking about gas prices and the stock market. Gas always fluctuates. And every time you're at the pump, no matter who it is, the American people are paying for some of that because there is subsidies to help keep gas prices down. So every time you pump a gallon of gas, depending on where we're at, X amount of that gas is being paid by the U.S. government to make sure that prices stay down. So the gas market is not indicative to how the economy is going. The stock market is not indicative to how the economy is affecting the average American. So like when there's a high stock market, then rich people are getting rich. And yes, retirement funds are going up, but we're at a place where majority of Americans do not have retirement funds. They don't have the extra income to pay a retirement fund. They're figuring out how to make ends meet today. They can't think about retirement. They can't think about 20, 30 years from now with the place they are financially. But Trump keeps doubling down on how affordability is a Democratic hoax. Well, how do you think the average American feels when they're at the grocery store and they see their grocery bill and they think back to a year or two ago when prices were still high, but it's cheaper than it was now? Anybody who goes out shopping, anybody who has to purchase anything, and this is a great time to talk about it, it's Christmas time. We see the rise in prices. We see that things are getting more expensive. But yet Dementia Don is over here telling everybody that the economy is great, that he has an A+++ on his first year as a president, and that, again, affordability is a Democratic hoax. And Trump, every time he doesn't have any factual information to back up any of his claims, just says it's a hoax, fake news, because he's so good at rhetoric and propaganda and talking in circles. But the problem is he's not as good as he used to be because we're actually seeing the mental decline of Donald Trump. We're seeing it in his angry tweets. And yes, he has always been angry, but the vitriol that he is coming with now is insane. And anybody who has ever had somebody in their life who suffers from dementia or cognitive problems realizes that these violent, like lashing out, this is all part of the dementia. Because we've talked about in another video how people with dementia, their brain doesn't realize that they're not remembering and can't accept the fact that this is happening. So they will sometimes substitute a subject. And so you will see the person go off in what seems like left field, right? When they're talking or their comments. And we see this with Trump. But what's happening is the brain can't accept the fact that they're forgetting and that these things are happening because of dementia. And so it inserts a different subject, which confuses the person who's speaking. So they end up going off on that subject. And sometimes the brain remembers and it brings them back. And sometimes it doesn't. And as dementia progresses, it gets worse and worse. And the lashing out gets worse and worse. And how I said in the previous video, I had somebody in my family who we have dealt with this. So I've seen this firsthand. I saw it firsthand as a teenager. And it kind of scared me. I was a young teenager the first time I seen it happen. And I literally had to have a conversation with my mom, like, what's happening? And they sat me down and kind of explained it. I was like 12 or 13. And then for years, I watched it as it progressed. A lot of the signs that Donald Trump is showing are signs of somebody with dementia. The confusion, the anger when he gets questioned, the way he lashes out when he hears anything he doesn't like. These are all the signs of dementia. And I know I've heard people go, he's always been like this. Watch how it's going. It is getting worse. This guy literally tweeted last night about Rob Reiner and his wife being murdered, and he took shots and pretty much danced on their grave. He has been unhinged on Truth Social for months. There was a week or two ago when he was up at 1 a.m. just launching off tweet after tweet after angry fucking tweet. So everything Donald Trump's doing is helping the Democratic Party when it comes to the midterms. And now we can even talk about his policies that are causing more problems, right? Like the $40 billion that's going to Argentina instead of helping our farmers. And now he's coming out with this $12 billion bail. $12 billion for American farmers, which if you watch the last video, I think they fucked around and found out, and we should not be bailing out the farmers. They should have to reap what they sow because they voted overwhelmingly 3 times for Donald Trump. So you voted for this. This is what you wanted. Your hate was more important to you than your business. Now you should have to own that. But $12 billion to the American people with our tax money, or $40 million to Argentina, which weakens American farmers, which has China buying produce from them instead of us. And that market's never going to come back to the United States. We're never going to be able to totally stabilize that market. Since Trump has took office, $1 trillion has left the farming market. So to restabilize this market is going to be extremely hard, if not impossible, because when you take $1 trillion out of a market, how do you get that back when these countries are not going to come back and buy these products? But this was all part of Project 2025. They wanted to weaken the supply chain, and that way small farmers, private-owned farmers would have to sell out to corporations. They want everything privatized. That's why they're going after your healthcare. That's why healthcare costs are skyrocketing, because they don't want to give the subsidies back to the ACA because they want it to fail. They have been trying to get rid of the ACA for 15 years. But mind you, never once have come up with an alternative until this weird dumbass alternative where they want to give you a health savings account, put like what would average out to about $80 a month in there. But here's the kicker. It's illegal to pay your health premiums with the health savings. Yeah, it's illegal to pay your premiums for healthcare with your health savings. So how the fuck does that make any sense? And so we're in a place now where premiums for millions and millions of people are going to skyrocket. 100, 200%, 300% in some cases, and they want to give you $80 a month in a health savings that can't be used for your health premiums. Yeah, make sense. Donald Trump's policies have done nothing but hurt his own party. His rhetoric has done nothing but hurt his own party. So he is making it easier and easier for the Democrats when it comes to the midterms, which, like I said, the Democrats have a messaging problem. So the fact that Donald Trump is helping him, and people were seeing it in the polls, 69% of Americans do not agree with Donald Trump right now. 64% don't like what's going on with our healthcare system. Almost 60% have a problem with what's going on with immigration, which just proves that too many of you are really comfortable with watching mothers and fathers get ripped from their jobs, from court hearings where they're going because you guys all want them to do it the right way. But when they show up for their court hearing doing it the right way, they're being arrested. We're seeing grandmothers, American citizen grandmothers, being slammed face first down in the street by ICE. We are seeing the military and our National Guards being used against American citizens. We are beginning to look like a war-torn country in some of these cities. We're seeing what's going on in Minneapolis. They are just wreaking havoc on Black communities in Minneapolis because Donald Trump got mad at Tim Walz and figured out he can attack the Somalian community when there's less than 400 of them that he is going after in the whole state of Minnesota that get this temporary protection status because of what's going on in their country. And if we sent them back, it would be dangerous for them to go back, and their quality of life there, and who is running Somalia right now. It is a problem. So they are granted temporary protection status, and there's less than 400 of them living with protection status in Minnesota, but Trump used it as an excuse to send in ICE and wreak havoc on Black communities. Latino voters are turning against Trump in droves. We saw this during the special elections on the small blue wave. I know Republicans and the state-sponsored Fox media will tell you that those were only in blue states. They weren't. Mississippi, blue. Like, I can keep going, but they weren't. They're just lying to you. And that's the point, that they think American people are so dumb that they can say whatever they want and we're just going to believe it. This is why it's so important for voices to be fighting back, because there are so many voices on the right on podcasts, and you see them on YouTube and Spotify, Rumble. There are so many conservative voices. We need to fight back against the disinformation and the blatant lies. But Trump's made it easier because he doubles down on lies that are so outlandish that even people who don't pay attention to politics at all know he's lying. The only people right now who are still supporting Donald Trump are his cult members, because they can't wrap their head around the fact that they were lied to, because they'd have to admit that their belief system was a lie, or they're just so hateful that they voted for the hate and the havoc and to ruin people's lives that the Trump administration is doing. So they're getting exactly what they wanted because it liberated their hate. But again, Donald Trump's messaging is so bad because all he does is say fake news, Democratic hoax. And you can only hear these things so many times before it's the boy who called wolf, right? The boy who cried wolf. And that's Donald Trump with the fake news and the Democratic hoax. People have just heard it so much that they really don't hear it anymore when he's speaking. And this is the same guy who kept referring to Joe Biden as Sleepy Joe, yet he is passing out in his own cabinet meetings. Donnie, you sleeping? Wake up, buddy. You're in the middle of a cabinet meeting. What are you doing? And Mark Rubio just keeps talking to him because on the right, they don't know what to do. They're always defending Trump, but he always puts them in these fuck situations and makes them scramble. I mean, we see Mike Johnson play word salads all the time because he'll say something that we heard from Trump, and then Trump will just say the exact opposite. And then Mike Johnson has to play these verbal gymnastics because he can't admit that he has zero clue on what's going on and he can't call out the president. So it's getting to the point where you have Marjorie Taylor Greene and other Republicans coming out saying Mike Johnson has lost the party. And it's because he's disrespectful. It's because he doesn't respect or value opinions of anybody else. It's because he will do whatever he can to defend the Tangerine Palpatine. So as long as all they're willing to do is carry Trump's water, they're pushing the same dumb bullshit message, expecting that Americans are stupid. We watched it with the vote on the Epstein files. Mike Johnson did whatever he could to make sure that petition didn't get the signatures it needed and then voted on. And then once they realized it was enough signatures, they all reversed course and were like, we always wanted this voted for. We always wanted transparency. Yes, that's why you spent 2 months stopping it from getting voted on and refused to swear in an elected congresswoman from Arizona, depriving Arizonians of right of representation to protect a pedophile. We see the photos coming out from the Epstein estate. We see that they dropped 95,000 photos. No, we have not gotten even close to all of them yet. But what we are seeing is not only powerful people in these photographs, but we are seeing Donald Trump in photograph after photograph with his good buddy Jeffrey Epstein, who he kept saying he barely knew. Who would have thought that QAnon might have been right about an underground pedophile ring that was controlled by billionaires? The only problem is they blamed Hillary Clinton in a pizza parlor. And that is not me toting water for Hillary. I cannot stand Hillary and the Clintons. So don't think that that is me carrying water for Hillary. I'm just saying it shows the hypocritical nature of the right and QAnon. Marjorie Taylor Greene, QAnon, people seem to forget the wild accusations she has made over the years because, yes, I am happy that she is fighting with Donald Trump. Yes, I am happy that she helped force a vote on the Epstein files. Yes, I am happy she brought awareness to what was going on with the ACA on the right. But that was all self-serving. So the Epstein files are because her and Trump got into it because she wanted to run for senator and Papa Trump told her no. And so she rebelled as children do and got into a fight with Papa Trump. And it was the Epstein files. The reason she comes out about the ACA is because now she's seeing how it affects her children. I don't care why she's on the same side as us right now. I'll never vote for her. I will never like Marjorie, but I will take any help we get right now fighting against Dementia Don. But yet Deep Throat Donnie just keeps doubling down on all of this. And just every time he hears something he doesn't like or somebody doesn't bow to him, he goes in attack mode. But we've seen it getting worse. We've seen him losing trains of thought while he's going after it. We've seen multiple tweet after tweet after tweet of deranged, unhinged shit coming out on Truth Social. These are the things that he is doing that is doing nothing but helping the Democratic Party when it comes to the midterms. So we just want to keep letting Donnie do his thing, make the Republicans try to carry his water. But a lot of them already know their time is up. And it is so bad that we've seen Trump trying to redistrict every seat he can get to try to rig the election to keep the power in the House. And we saw the Supreme Court say, yes, it's political gerrymandering, and they just let it go. The good thing is, Trump decided to use the R word, which hurt him because an Indiana lawmaker has a child with Down syndrome, and it really pissed him off. But we saw what happened in Indiana. More Republicans voted against redistricting than they did for redistricting, which made Donald Trump lose his shit again and go on a rampage about that. But we're finally seeing some Republicans who are like, I am not going to cave to Donald Trump anymore. It might be too late, but a lot of them are now seeing their political lives disappear right in front of them because they know what he's doing is either, one, his policies are so bad that they are going to lose their election, or two, because of the redistricting, they are going to lose their seat because they don't have enough votes anymore to keep them in their seats. And this all started with Trump in Texas. This is why you're seeing Republican lawmakers in California losing their mind, because Republicans are about to lose their seats because, and I know people are going to say Gavin Newsom did it, but no, the people of California voted to do this, to fight back against Texas. And they want you to believe that it's the Democrats who are gerrymandering districts after Trump has come out and talked about how all these Republicans need to do this. But yet he has a problem that California did it. They sued California after they did it in Texas, but didn't even ask the people of Texas if that's what they wanted. All right, I could keep going on. Donald Trump's first year has been awful, but the American people are waking up. His poll numbers are in the tank. Republicans are turning against him because they see their political life disappearing right in front of their eyes because they've been carrying Trump's water so long. So just keep fighting the good fight. Let's stay on top of fighting this disinformation. And everyone, thank you for all the support you've been given on Facebook. I appreciate it. I say it every episode. I love you guys. Please go over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Like I said, one day I'm going to make a video, pisses off Zuckerberg, and I'll probably get kicked off Meta, and you'll still be able to find the content. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great holiday if I don't come back with a video before then. And, well, I hope you have a great holiday either way, but I'm wishing you one now in case I don't have a chance to before the holidays. And I just want you to know I appreciate all the support so much. You don't even understand. Thank you. One world, one love. Deuces.
Everything's polluted. The environment, the government, the schools, you name it.
This radio person is the whole problem. Are we going to allow this guy to be heard by anyone who can turn a dial?
You out there? You listening?